and you're watching Ask Sara, my weekly Q&A chat. Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Sara. I'm so glad that you were able to join us for the live show, or if you're watching the recording later in the week, thanks for checking in with the show. I see Kathy's watching. I saw someone was watching from Sicily and also from Egypt, so that's exciting. That's really cool. I've always wanted to go to Egypt. I'm really into pyramids and mummies and historical things like that. Valerie's watching from Jacksonville. Ailsa is watching from Australia. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. So wow, all over the world today for Ask Sara. Cheryl's watching from South Carolina. Before we get over to some questions, we have a couple things to talk to you about. I know everyone has been waiting with bated breath to see what Danny's choices for his Park Sling backpack are, so he's got them right here, and I'll let him talk you through his choices, I guess.
All right, so we went to the quilt store. We were initially going to go on Friday. Sarah's mother had a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Angie. It was on Friday. So we didn't have time to go to the quilt store that day. Sarah goes to her grandmother's house every Sunday. So I went with this week. And after her grandma's house, we went to the quilt shop. And we looked around, and I was like, on the fence, not too much. So I'm like, I don't see anything I really want. So Sarah was, of course, getting some stuff. And
of course.
while she was in line having the stuff cut, I was by the front door, and I saw this fabric, and I love geometric, and dark blue. It's almost like a dark bluish gray. It looks probably more blue on the screen, but it's more of a blue-gray. And I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I'm like, pulled it out there right away. Sarah had it cut out. I think she got a yard of it. Is that right?
Yard and a half. It's designed by Juicy Juice for Andover Fabrics.
Yeah.
And so the whole line, if you like rainbows, you might want to check out the rest of the line because it's a rainbow-colored fabric line. And
it's funny because when I post this in the Facebook group, people are like, Danny, did you pick that out? Because it looks like you on the selvage. And it's going to be really hard to see, but right here next to my finger, it's like an image of him. And I know what he looks like because I remember seeing him with...
They can't see, so I don't know if you want to describe it. It was really tiny.
It's just a beard,
a guy with
and
a beard
glasses,
and glasses.
like a full beard and glasses. And I've seen him before from Tula Pink's, I think, Instagram feed. She was at maybe Quilt Market and talking to him, and that's where I recognized who he was. But I just saw the fabric. I didn't know whose fabric it was, and it just spoke to me. And I said, oh, let's do it. And then I was thinking I wanted to do the top grain black leather because I like dark color bags. Then I went downstairs to look at our, supply, get some ideas, and I knew we had this really nice, it's pearl charcoal cork.
Yeah,
pearl charcoal cork. And I'm like, that'll be perfect with this. I like, the gray blue scheme. But then I saw the blue one, the pearl blue, which Sarah likes better. But honestly, I like the gray better with this one. So I was thinking maybe this would be the front of the bag, this would be the back of the bag, and maybe the strap, and this can maybe be the side panel of the bag. That was my idea. So I figured what I was going to do is cut this out first, which I did tape the whole pattern together. When Sarah wasn't home, I didn't have Adobe Reader, so I downloaded a reader. I made sure I checked actual size, and I saw people, having measurement problems. So I double-checked the measurements. They were perfect. I taped it together. I'm like, why is this not lining up correctly? And little did I know, my first piece, I moved over maybe an eighth of an inch. When I taped it down, I didn't have anything holding it together, so I was doing it by hand, and I just pressed down really fast to hold the seams. And I thought the diamonds were lined up correctly. It looked semi-correctly. But what I realized was when I untaped it, when I cut it, I didn't cut it all the way, so the diamond was not lined up. So I double-checked my measurements. I redid it again with the weight. I took my mouse pad, I put it on top of this piece, and I held the other piece here. Then I taped it together, and it was amazing because the first time I did it, by the time it went to the last piece, I think it's like a grid of like 4x3. So the second row, piece 4 to 8, was off by mine, maybe by a half inch. And I'm like, what the heck? Once I took it apart and made sure my seams were literally right on top of each other, it was perfect. It was amazing. What a difference. That first piece was just off that much, and it made it go apart. So right here it was off just an eighth of an inch. Here probably a quarter of an inch. Then over here a half inch, because it was like a line that just keeps going further apart. Little did I know that little difference makes a big deal as it goes further away. So I learned something, and I did this while Sarah wasn't home, so I couldn't have any help, and I wanted to do that intentionally. But I got it to work, and it was not a big deal. So now cutting the fabric will be next, and then I'll ask Sarah for a bunch of help when I'm sewing it. So
And the ironing. Lots of ironing of interfacing and all that. So you're in for a treat.
I think it's going to be fun.
I have a reminder also this week for anyone going to Nashville for QuiltCon, which is a modern quilting convention. If you are going to Nashville for QuiltCon on February 22nd, there will be a meetup for So Sweetness members. So it's February 22nd at 11:15 a.m. in the food court area of the exhibition hall. Mary Kowalski is organizing this meetup, and Mary will have a sign with the So Sweetness logo. So if you're going to QuiltCon, look for that sign. And I'm looking forward to seeing photographs of everyone meeting up. I know my friend Tamara and Ronnie are going, and so Tamara made a Park Sling backpack also. And I'm excited to see photographs from everyone meeting up in person. That's really fun.
That's very cool.
Yep.
You know, I saw a person I follow on Instagram, Love You So. She's going to QuiltCon. And I saw, I think Sarah Diddy is going to QuiltCon, who I also follow on Instagram. And I think Sarah Diddy posted like a weather alert. They're supposed to have like crazy rains this whole week, and especially
really?
yeah,
I didn't know.
like severe weather and stuff, like of rain and stuff like that, flood warnings and stuff going off. I was like, man, it's a terrible time to go. Like, we went there this past summer. Great time to go out, have fun. There's a lot of outdoor stuff. Even I'm sure in the cool temperatures, it's still nice out to do stuff. But I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to do something like that.
It reminds me of a couple years ago when I went to Quilt Market, which was also a convention for quilt shops to order product. And I remember one year it was a hurricane around that time, and there was massive flooding, and a lot of people that were driving into the area, it was in Texas, had a really hard time getting in, and it kind of reminds me something similar to that. I see a few comments coming through of people going to QuiltCon, so I hope the weather breaks up or clears up for everyone going out to Nashville. All right, Danny's second favorite part of the Tuesday show. We'd like to invite all of the bag ladies and bag dudes to let us know in the comments whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook.
Wrong one.
There
we go.
Go ahead and type in the comments right now, either bag dude or bag lady, and we love seeing all that come through in the feed. We really appreciate the supportive bag making community, and thank you so much for watching and being part of that community. So I guess today you get to do a little bit more talking than normal. So we're going to hit on your pick of the week now.
All right. Ready? 3, 2,
ready.
1. Bam! Shinova made this for her son. Now, you think that at first, that's Captain America. No, it's actually the Winter Soldier from Marvel as well. And I thought it was super cool. I loved the inspiration for this when I saw it. And I thought, that looked just like my bag idea. I had something similar with a dark blue, but I thought maybe do it with a cork on top. And I'm looking at that one. I'm thinking, hey, maybe I should mix the cork to the front, not just the back. But 2 thumbs up. Great job at that. Great model, too, by the way. He seemed a little more easy to work with than I was when Sarah asked me to model the park bag. But, great photo. Everything was great. I loved it.
I love the applique, and it looks like his actual, do they call them uniforms or outfits for superheroes?
Sure.
An outfit? Okay. I don't know.
It's something else.
It looks just like his costume.
His work uniform. Superhero.
Great job.
Yeah,
Great
what is
job.
that called? I'm trying to think.
No.
I'm trying to think. Well, we just saw where the whole family, the wife,
The
Violet,
Incredibles.
and remember he's got to get fitted with the suit from the lady who takes care.
Suits. A super suit. Is that appropriate to call them super suits?
I doubt it, but it sounds similar.
Yeah.
I'll look it up later. That's how silly we are for not getting this. I'm sure someone in chat's gonna say, "Hey, it's called
Yeah, costume can't be quite right. I don't know.
maybe superhero costume." I don't know.
Costume. Yeah, I see Cheryl says costume in the comments.
Maybe that's what it is.
All right, before we get over to some live questions, we'd like to invite you, if you're watching on Facebook, to go ahead and hit the share button, share this video with your other sewing friends that might enjoy it on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I hope you will consider subscribing so that you can be notified of our upcoming live shows and anytime we post a new video. And regardless, the likes help us out a lot too, which is a little picture of a thumbs up. So thank you so much for doing that. Oh, I
just see Shinova. She made a comment, so we'll address it since she was the.
Shinova's question was, I know it's soon, but will there be templates for the Park Sling bag? I actually have. I always get a sample template to check it out before we place our order for the acrylic templates. Ed and Robin provide the templates for us that we sell in our online shop, and so the Park Sling backpack and the Aragon bag templates, the samples will be on their way to us this week, and then as soon as we approve them, then we'll have the templates for those in the shop, and we'll have a separate template set for the size small Park Sling backpack and also for size large, so 2 separate sets for that.
It looks like the consensus is super suits.
Super suit? Okay. that sounds good.
Sounds fair.
I like that. All right, so if you have a question for me, let me know in the comments. Go ahead and type that right now. Either a bag making related question, a sewing question, a question about a notion or tool. I'll answer as many questions as I can live. Danny puts those up on the screen for me. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a bunch of run-ons tonight. I'll try to cut that out here. I see Samantha has a question. Is there a decent place to buy bulk interfacing, and is there a list where we can find the name of the bags you start the show holding? Well, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever said on the show the bag that I open up, because I usually do like a little dance at the beginning of our live shows. And I think a long time ago I've mentioned the reasoning for doing that. So today I just opened up with a bunch of scissors. Usually I have a little bag or pouch and I kind of dance with it. The reason we started doing that in the beginning is because there's a few second delay from the Facebook live stream and the YouTube live stream. And instead of me just sitting here smiling at the camera for several seconds, depending on where you're watching, we decided we'd do that with the bag dance. I don't think I've ever said, though, at the beginning of the show. Maybe I'll have to start doing that.
What are you saying?
The name of the bag, like when I do my little dance at the beginning of the show.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Oh, the question was about the interfacing in bulk.
You never answered that, really?
No, because
Oh my
I got
goodness.
distracted somehow. So I purchase interfacing wholesale since I sell it. Depending on what you're doing, there's also a possibility for wholesale purchases. I purchase from Checker distributors, so you can look them up online. You can buy interfacing in bulk. Gotinterfacing.com is a good resource. I know a lot of people save their Joann Fabrics coupons and use those for interfacing. Those are all great options for getting a hold of interfacing by the bolt or by the roll. Diane says, any plans for templates for the filigree bag? I do have that on my list. We try to just, because all of the acrylic templates are made by hand by Ed and Robin in Arizona, we try not to overwhelm them with too many new template requests at the same time, but the filigree is on my list for a future set of templates. Clovis says, has Violet made anything else on the Cricut? She hasn't lately. I think I need to clean off my desk because it's kind of, the Cricut maker is kind of overrun with stacks of fabric, tools, all sorts of things on my desk.
The brown one says is a good idea. Is you can add an opening comment saying, the bag I'm holding.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Easier.
So yeah, like across the screen, you can?
No. You have it on the bottom in your comment section where you this week I talk about whatever.
Oh, yeah. Great idea. Oh, yeah. That's a really easy one. Thank you. Beth says, Sarah, could you explain why you recommend switching back to the regular foot instead of the zipper foot while top stitching better control? So my previous zipper foot, my current zipper foot, let's start off with that. My current zipper foot, which I bought, maybe 6 or so months ago for my Juki, it's called the hinged zipper foot. It's basically like a regular foot except very, very skinny. So I currently use that for sewing in number 3 dress skirt zippers especially. My previous zipper foot before that was kind of just like a little piece of metal. So I felt for top stitching it wasn't as substantial as my hinge zipper foot, and I felt like I couldn't get a nice neat looking top stitch with my previous zipper foot. So that's why I kind of switch back and forth between the feet for top stitching. I suppose I don't need to do that now since I have the hinge zipper foot now, but out of habit, I just like to change back to my regular foot just because I feel like I can get a more controlled top stitch than my initial zipper foot. Hopefully that makes sense. The bag behind Danny's head is from what line? I think you're probably talking about the red.
It's a Renegade bag.
The Renegade bag.
It's individual.
Unfortunately, I purchased this fabric several years ago. Well, more than a few years ago from a business in Australia called Ink and Spindle, and they make hand-printed fabrics. And so I don't think they still offer this particular one, but they have a lot of other lovely designs on there. And they're out of Australia, and that particular fabric is printed on canvas. I'm not sure if all of their designs are printed on canvas, but they might be. Debbie says, will you be restocking the iris purple faux leather? We do have it on order. We might get it as early as next week, but we'll have it shortly. It's on order. Audrey says, do you install grommets using your hand press? And if so, what is your most commonly used size? I think the 3mm grommets on my hand press is the most commonly used size that I use, and that's about the size of, if you wear belts, the hole in your belt, whether it has a grommet or not, it's about that size. I do have a video on my YouTube channel where I talk about my hand press and all of the different size dies that I use, including several different sizes of grommets. And you can find that on my YouTube channel. If you just do a search on my channel for rivet press, that video should come up. Andrew says, I'm new to cork. Is it okay to make an entire bag from cork or just for accents? I've made entire bags with cork. I made the Easy Leather Hobo bag out of all cork. I tend to, just because cork is pricier than quilting cotton, certainly, I tend to save it for, like the Renegade bag that I held up a second ago. I tend to mix it with quilting cottons and cork, like on the accents or straps, but you certainly could make an entire bag out of cork fabric if you wanted to as well. Tammy says, question, can you teach us how to sketch a pattern for a Kisslock coin purse that opens with the Kisslock frame like a lid? I think I kind of know. I'm wondering if perhaps you're talking about something similar to the Kismet trinket boxes, like a square container with a lid, but with a Kisslock. Let me know if that's what you meant in the comments, because that was the initial thought that came to my head. And Beth says, Sarah, when you tell us to iron fabrics away from our zipper, it looks as if you iron directly on the zipper. How does it not melt? So I don't often use metal zippers. Most of the time I use nylon zippers. If you're not, putting your iron down on the zipper and leaving it there for an extended period of time, it should be okay. If you just make a really quick pass, it's usually fine. If you're worried about it, however, you can certainly finger press it instead, use clips to hold. If you're top stitching an area, you could certainly open up the zipper and use wonder clips to hold that area rather than ironing it. So I'd suggest doing what you're comfortable with. I've never had a zipper melt from ironing before top stitching, but again, I'm usually taking like a really quick pass over that area. Aleli,
you
missed that one. Do you remember what that question was?
808 interfacing. It's 90% polyester, 10% rayon. Interesting how it works.
Oh, okay. It was just a comment, not a question.
Asking you about that interfacing.
Okay.
I'll go back to answering this question.
All right. Holly says, any plans for a video for the Polaris bag pattern? It's such a cute bag. I don't have a date yet for the next 4-pack video bundle, but that Polaris bag pattern will be in the next bundle, so we should have a video for that one soon. Oh, you found it. Good job. Aleli says, have you used Pollen 808? I'm curious to try it since it's 90% polyester and 10% rayon. I would think it would give a nice feel to it. So Pollen 808 and 809, which is Craft Fuse and Decor Bond, are super similar. Like off the bolt, they look almost exactly the same. For those particular interfacings, the shiny side, when you hold it up to the light, is the side with the adhesive that you'll iron onto the wrong side of the fabric. I've used Decor Bond and a lot in the past for small projects or stiff areas like accents or handles that I wanted to be stiff and not floppy. Craft Fuse you could use for like a thin market tote. I haven't used that one extensively just because I use a lot of foam and Peltex and more substantial structured bags, but I have used them in the past and they're relatively easy to sew with. Jess says, any thoughts on using alternatives to interfacing, trying to be eco-friendly and attempting to use burlap? Any thoughts? So I guess maybe 5 or 6 years now I did a class for Craftsy about bag interfacings and stabilizers, and I did show a few alternative ideas for interfacings in that class, including duck cloth. Not sure if I mentioned burlap. I have the shortest term memory and it's been a few years now, but I did talk about other items, but most of the items that I talked about in the Craftsy class were actually interfacings, although I suppose you could repurpose used clothing or bag parts. I know a lot of people in particular purchase bags from, say, the thrift store and repurpose hardware and zippers and other things from bags, so that's a possibility as well. Bronwyn says, is a photo coming for the new teal cork in What's New section on the website? Yes, we actually just got a new cork color called turquoise. We'll be cutting that off tomorrow morning and getting the photos up on the website, but it's a really pretty, I'm trying to see if I have a quilting cotton similar in color. I know this is quilting cotton. This is not cork, but it's similar, a similar color to this one right here. Barbara says, what tips do you have for installing rivets through several layers of denim? So my hand press actually has a hole punch die to make holes, which makes it a lot easier. You might have a handheld hole punch instead. So definitely making the holes with something before you go to install the rivets makes the whole process a whole lot easier. I can imagine that denim might be a similar thickness to working with cork or faux leathers or glitter vinyls, and I don't know that there's a trick to it. It's pretty easy, and I use 8mm rivets with a 6mm post length. That's what I use probably 98% of the time, so that's the size rivets that I use, if that's helpful. Betty says, when I use sew-in Pellon Flex foam, the fabric seems floppy when the purse is done, like there's slack between the fabric and the Pellon. What am I doing wrong? So I myself prefer using sew-in foam. Depending on the fabric, sometimes I will iron Pellon Shape Flex to the fabric before attaching to the foam. For instance, when I use Art Gallery fabrics for the exterior portion of the bag, the weave on those fabrics is a little bit different, and it has a little bit of a drape, and so I feel most comfortable interfacing it first with the Pellon Shape Flex to give it to make it a little bit more substantial before attaching it to the sew-in foam. So depending on the fabric that you're using, you might want to do that yourself, because the same case as what you mentioned. When I use the Art Gallery fabrics, I feel like it's a little too not floppy, but I can see like ripples in the fabric a little bit, if that makes sense. Sam says, question, do you have any experience or tips for dyeing your own fabric from your friendly, non-binary bag person? Actually, maybe I'm not sure if it's possible to do a video for fabric dyeing.
I remember you used to actually dye a text fabric. Do you remember? I think
yes,
from my pillowcase.
It is. Oh, I have some somewhere in here.
Is that teal? It's like bluish.
I think I have some right here. I'm gonna grab it really quick if that's okay.
Enjoy yourself. I think we could talk about video games while she's gone.
No.
Just kidding.
No. Okay, so this is some fabric that I dyed many years ago. It was originally a white fabric with the black text print, and I dyed it using, I cannot remember any of the supplies that I used, and so I wrote a blog post about it many years ago. So I suppose if you Googled Sew Sweetness and fabric dyeing, it would come up. But maybe this is an option for a future video.
You don't remember what it was called? It's the R dye. RIT?
No, it wasn't RIT.
It wasn't RIT dye?
No, it wasn't. It was a process. I did it in the bathtub. I know salt was involved. We'll have to talk about it in a future video because, like I said, it's probably been 7 years or so since I dyed this fabric. So it's been quite a while.
Oh, I think I missed it. Go ahead.
Oh, Sarah, can a spray adhesive help with stopping fabric from puckering in the curves? That's a good question. I personally don't use spray adhesive for attaching the fabric to the interfacing, not because I've tried it myself and I didn't like it, but I remember years ago one of my friends telling me that she'd tried using the spray adhesive, similar to what people use when they baste a quilt, to attach the fabric to the interfacing, and she didn't like the results, and so I guess I've had it in my mind since then that it doesn't work, but I guess I should try it out for myself and see how I think about it.
You generally cut little triangles right in the curves to help with puckering, or is that something different, like using pinchers?
Notching, yeah. You're talking about notching the curved edges before sewing.
That's what little triangles are. Notches.
That's true. That's true, they are.
We should try pinking shears one time, because I know you've never done that ever.
I have.
Not on a video I've ever
Not on a
created
video.
with you.
No,
yeah.
That's true. Not on video, I don't think. Linda says, I recently made a small packing cube. Is there a reason you did not use soft and stable in this pattern? So the original iteration that I made of the vacation packing cubes, I did actually make it in foam interfacing. And then I had second thoughts about it because I thought it was intended to be put in a suitcase so you can put all your clothes and have them in different sections when you're traveling. And then I thought the foam interfacing, in my opinion, felt a little too much, like overkill. And then I also thought, well, while you're traveling, if you need to kind of fold one of the packing cubes down and put it in your suitcase and save some space, the foam interfacing makes it take up a lot more room. So that's why I made the pattern with just the Shapeflex interfacing, so it's a thinner structure. However, one of my pattern testers made one all in foam interfacing because she likes to quilt her fabric to the foam, and it looked really nice, and I think she used it for a knitting bag. But you certainly could make the vacation packing cubes out of the foam interfacing instead for your exterior fabric if you prefer. Margie says, in making the park sling, is there much tension put on the side panel? It's the longest piece and I'm piecing it and wanted to know if I needed to reinforce. If you mean while you have all of your items filled in the backpack, I don't see a problem in as far as stitching holding up or any fabric breaking through. And you took the question off, so I hope I answered it properly. I kind of lost my train of thought. I apologize. Donna says, I got my Juki back from the hospital and talked to the tech. He said I only need to oil down by the bobbin. Where do you oil your machine? I would definitely trust your tech, but I have a few spots in the top area where the feed dogs are, to the right of the feed dogs. And
check your manual primarily.
Yes, always check your manual.
Some computerized machines do not. Maybe it could be all. Do not use oil on your own.
I do also oil down by that bobbin area as well, though. But definitely I oil a lot less than I used to. I used to oil once a day or once every other day, and my tech a couple years ago told me I was oiling too much. Jessica says, what fabric is inside the hoodie hood? It's Slitherific. This was actually a store-bought, so yep. I did not make this.
But that's what sold me. I really like the squares.
What pictures are on there? Looks like wands and snakes. And like a checkerboard pattern. Crystal says, I couldn't find 3/4 of an inch D-ring, so I purchased 1 inch for the park sling. Will that still work? So, yes, you will just need to increase the width of your tabs for where the D-rings are going to go through to 4 inches wide, I believe. Because 4 inches folded like double fold bias tape is the 1 inch right there. I always like purchasing purse hardware, though, for future reference from Emmeline Bags, and that's emmelinebags.com. Chris says, I like 808. The 809 gets kind of wrinkly, and it's hard to get flat again. I kind of agree with you there. When I've used the 809 in the past, the Pellon 809, I interface Shapeflex to the wrong side of the fabric first before attaching the 809. Margaret says, what are your favorite fabric designers? Tula Pink is my favorite. Katerina Rochella from Art Gallery Fabrics. I have a lot of her stuff. I like Allison Glass. She designs for Andover Fabrics.
I was going to say all three of those.
Were you?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot more I'm missing. I like a Chino. That's
How about the lady who owns the
Coca.
shop in Quilt South, is it? Nashville?
Oh, Anna Maria Horner.
Yeah.
I like her prints a lot, especially the large. There's so many.
Yeah, you know, and each collection's different too. It's not like
that's true.
Every collection's that's my go-to. It's not. Sometimes there's great ones, sometimes there's average ones, and
that's true.
And sometimes there's just one off. But you know, Katerina, I like her stuff because it's always different to me. It's not like all geometric prints or whatever. It's always something different. It's not like it matches like. This, you could see this designer made this and this and this because they're very similar. Like Tula Pink, to me, I always see animals and bright colors and stuff in her prints. With hers, you don't see that. It's like unique, individual, and it's very cool to me.
I feel like it's almost like the Oscars where they get up to do their acceptance speech and they're like, oh, there's all these people I'm forgetting. It's kind of like that with the fabric designers. I'm like, looking back behind me at the fabric, I'm like, who am I forgetting? Gail says...
Oh, I know who. The lady who started the cotton steel. Did you say Melody Miller?
Melody Miller? No, I didn't.
Yeah, she's got really nice fabric.
Gail says, how do you cut on the 45-degree angle? That's a great question. Let me see if I can grab my ruler back here. So I know not all bag makers are also quilters, but it's helpful to have certain quilt making tools like a ruler. So I have 2 different size rulers that I like to use. This particular one is 12 inches by 6 inches. And the nice thing about the quilting rulers is they have different degrees on them. So this right here is 45 degrees. So you would just line up the edges of your fabric on the 45-degree mark. There's 60 degrees, 30 degrees. Can you think of any other tools that they could get the different degrees besides this?
Protractor.
Protractor. That's a good one. I know the kids have protractors, but I haven't used one in many years. It's been a while. Donalyn says, any tips for riveting a rolled cork handle on the Baker Street bag? Since it's cork, I can't baste or pin in place. Could I glue it first? Yeah, you sure could use fabric glue. I'm trying to think what else it would be handy. I think the glue would be the best option, especially if you're using a washable glue if you need to move it. Yeah, that would be a good option for that.
I won't address a gaming question, but I could laugh at it for a second.
Oh.
Lots of comments. Sarah, why don't you tell me how horseback riding went this week?
Horseback riding. I'm not sure how to properly portray how I feel about it. I feel like every lesson is challenging, and I feel like I don't know if this is accurate or not, or just from my frustration. I feel like I'm forever working on the basics, but I know the basics are important because then when you get into the more
you're talking really fast. Normal, you're like slower, mellow.
No, I feel oftentimes frustrated by my progress with horseback riding, but I think I'm just being too hard on myself, or I'm just not sure. I think part of the problem is I'm not sure if my level of progress is reasonable or not, and so I get on myself a lot, like, oh, why didn't you do this better, or you should know this, or.
As a person just watching it, I think to myself, first when I would go to Violet's horseback riding and watch her, and I'm like, she's been doing this for like 3 months now, and I feel like she should be progressing. And it felt like she was doing the same thing week after week after week, and it was not like picking a new technique up or advancing to something greater. It's the same issues week after week. I'm like,
but if
hold on.
Okay.
Once I'm like, Violet, why is you're having problems with this still? And the trainer says this and this, and I know there's like 20 moving parts, to make it work and stuff like that. So I go with Sarah, and I'm watching hers, and I'm like, I'm thinking the same, like, man, if I've been doing this for 6 months, I would be progressing at like light speed compared to these two ladies. And I'm thinking,
I don't think
I must be a skewed point of view because I'm not doing it. But just as a bystander watching this, I'm like, man, it doesn't seem like it's the same problem. Keep your reins here. Keep your hand planted here. Like in my head, I'm doing like these mental checklists. Like, you got these 10 things you got to follow. You do those 10 things, then you go to the next step. But it's obviously more moving parts. But as a person watching, it's like, man, are these trainers not doing a good job to get them going? Because to me, it's like, wow, it's a slow going process.
I tried to explain to you a lot of horseback riding is feeling a particular horse or how the horse is feeling that day. It's like a feeling, and you can't just be like, all right, do this and do this every time, and
it's gonna work.
You'll be successful.
That's why I say as a bystander, it
Right.
looks different than what it actually feels.
Right.
For sure. Because then I can see how it gets frustrating because you're doing it so long.
Terry says, how do you press seams when using cork? So I finger press them. You can also use Wonder Clips. If you're talking about a finished bag, what I often will do, especially if I use cork in the bag, let me grab some Wonder Clips. So instead of ironing the finished bag, especially the parts that have the cork, I'll kind of take my fingers and kind of.
How long do you let it sit like that?
Oh, an hour or two. So you'll just work your way around the bag, placing the Wonder Clips. You could even do it on the areas with the quilting cotton if you want to, if you're worried about pressing some of those areas. And when you initially take the Wonder Clips off, you'll see maybe like 2 tiny little marks from the clips, but the marks will go away. And the Wonder Clips just help
form it almost, right?
Form it, yes. Thank you. Manuela says, so what would be the best interfacing to use for the park sling bag to be really solid? I would go with the interfacing in the pattern. I use foam interfacing for most of the exterior portions, and then Pellant shape flex for the lining.
Can you repeat Katerina's last name?
Oh, Katerina Roccella is Roccella, and she designs for Art Gallery Fabrics. Yeah, when Danny was talking earlier about Katerina's fabrics, how she usually has something different. She's had a fabric line with dinosaurs, one with pandas, florals. Her current fabric line is, I did have it behind me on the desk, but I don't have it anymore. Her current fabric line has flowers, and it's called grid, so it has grid elements to it. So Lots of different things. Gretchen says, are you learning dressage? I ride hunt seat, so a hunter jumper. Right. Lately, we've been working on poles, and I did some jumping last week, and so, yeah, it's constantly working on the basics. Debbie says, whoa, Danny, you better pull back on the reins there.
Yes, we do.
Michelle says, do you have a video of you working with cork? It's on the YouTube channel. Actually, is it the very first video we ever made?
It probably is.
If you go to the So Sweetness YouTube channel and look for, what would they look for? Sewing with cork, possibly?
Yeah.
That one should come up. It's also on my website under the tutorials tab, the bag making tutorials sub tab, and it'll be a little bit further down since it's the first video that we ever made. That was when we used to film in the basement. Remember those days?
Yes, the dungeon.
The dungeon. Sherry says, can you use fusible interfacing instead of woven interfacing? So Pellon Shapeflex is actually both. It's Pellon Shapeflex is SF101, and that's fusible woven interfacing. If you're talking about foam interfacing, there's fusible options as well as sew-in. You can use whichever one you prefer. There's some other interfacings that have both options. Peltex has a sew-in and also a fusible. A lot of times you can use whichever you prefer, unless the pattern specifies otherwise. Kathy says, how do you source your fabrics? Where did you look to find the one from Australia and the one with the large pink flowers? So I have a friend, her name's Emily, and she is an art teacher, and as an art major, she was really into all of those types of things, and she told me years ago about that Australian company that I mentioned called Ink and Spindle, so that's why I purchased the fabric from there. The one with the large pink flowers, which one's with the large pink flowers? To be honest, I haven't gone to trade shows. I used to go to trade shows to see all the newest fabrics, but I sign up for a lot of online shops and also brick and mortar quilt shops newsletters, so I get email newsletters. I like getting the newsletters from many shops like Hawthorne Supply Company and Stash Fabrics, and getting various newsletters helps me be clued in with the newest fabrics coming out because generally each shop carries a little bit of a different selection, and by subscribing to several shops' newsletters, I can always be alerted to new things coming out, and seeing things on Instagram and social media also is helpful. Val says, question, are your acrylic templates available to buy in the UK? So we do ship worldwide. Unfortunately, shipping is going to cost a little bit more to the UK, and also the possibility of customs fees. Unfortunately, we have no control over that, but we do ship worldwide. Audrey says, I think she's talking about non-woven fusible. Non-woven fusible, is there a certain interfacing?
Sherry's comment, I think.
Okay, Sherry, if you can let me know if there's a particular interfacing or a name or a product number, maybe I can direct your question a little bit more specifically. Oh, the Rise into Bag had the large flowers. That one was Marimekko fabric. That was a Scandinavian fabric designer, and I found that fabric on Etsy, and you could just do a search for Marimekko, and that's Marimekko. I believe I spelled that right.
Looks
Yes.
similar to someone else's comment.
Okay.
I'm not seeing more questions, so I think it might be a good time to...
You're going to call it? All right. I know we were folding laundry last week. I told the kids before the show, all right, maybe we should make Tuesday our laundry folding night, so that's what we're going to be heading up to do, fold some laundry. Yay. All right. I hope you are not folding laundry tonight. I hope you are enjoying yourself for the rest of the evening. Thank you so much for joining us for Ask Sara. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and happy sewing. Bye, everybody.
See you, everyone.